passage is about Phaethon, who finds out that he is the son of the sun god, and so he's asked to drive the horses of the sun and basically loses control. And that's where we are in the story at the beginning. And we start in line 1 with the word ut. So remember, ut has two basic meanings, or there's two basic possibilities with ut. One is that ut is followed by a subjunctive verb. If it's followed by a subjunctive, then you're probably in a purpose clause. So probably the meaning is in order to do something, or so that something might happen. Ut plus subjunctive could also be a result clause, which is phrases like so big that, or so tired that, or so strong that, things like that. You can normally recognize a result clause because it has one of those so something words like tam, tantus, tot, totiens, that kind of thing. On the other hand, you can have ut, which is followed by an indicative verb, or by no verb at all. And in that case, if you've got ut without a subjunctive, then it means as or when. And that's what we have here, because the main verb in line 1 is de spexit, which is indicative. So ut here means when. And so in line 1, we start with when he looked down at. So de spicio is to look down at something. And then the subject is in line 2. The subject is in Felix Phaethon. So that's our nominative noun and adjective that are the subject. So when unhappy Phaethon, or when unlucky Phaethon. And then we can also add in vero here, which means indeed, or truly, something like that. So when indeed unhappy Phaethon looked down at the lands. So terras is the object because it's accusative plural. We also have this phrase ab sumo aethere. Ab meaning from, sumo meaning the top of, and aethere, ablative, meaning heaven or the sky. So we've got when indeed unhappy Phaethon looked down from the top of the sky, from the top of heaven, from the height of heaven, at the lands. So there's our object, terras. And the lands are described as iacentes. Now iacentes is a present participle from iaccio iacere. Sorry, no, it's not. It's a present participle from iaccio iacere, which means to lie. So remember, it's easy to make this mistake, as I just did, but remember iaccio iacere, which is mixed conjugation. That means to throw, but this verb here is from iaccio iacere, second conjugation, which means to lie down, to lie somewhere. So the lands are described as iacentes, lying, penitus penitusque, sort of way down below, something like that, far, far below. And then the main verb is paluit, he turned pale. And it's third person singular, so Phaethon is still the subject. He turned pale. And suddenly, et subito. That's a very common word, subito meaning suddenly. His genua, that's his knees, intremuere, trembled. Now, intremuere, this is a poetic sort of ending. In prose, this would be intremuerunt, third person plural, perfect tense. But because this is poetry, the erunt ending is replaced with ere. So his knees trembled with fear. So timore is the ablative singular of timor, meaning fear. So timore means with fear. His knees trembled with fear. And now, et iam. So iam means now or by now. So and now, mallet. Now, malo malle, malui, means to prefer. Quite a common verb, to prefer. And here, it's in the imperfect subjunctive, because you've got the infinitive malle plus the ending, ost, mustis, and so that's an imperfect subjunctive verb. Why is it subjunctive? Because the meaning is not quite he prefers, the meaning is he would prefer. The idea being he would prefer if it was possible. If it were possible, he would prefer this. The problem is, it's not possible. So, and now he would prefer never, numquam, to have touched, tetigisse, his father's horses. Okay. So in English, if you are using this verb to prefer, you'd probably say he would prefer that he had never done it, or he would prefer not to have done it. And it's that second one that Latin does. So Latin says he would prefer not, or he, in this case never, to have touched. So tetigisse is a form called a perfect infinitive. And that's quite a common form in Latin, and it's quite easy to recognize because it is the form in Latin which ends in isse, I-S-S-E. So you should remember that whenever you see isse, you're looking at a perfect infinitive. Because the perfect infinitive is formed from the perfect tense of the verb plus the letters S-S-E. So for example, in this case, you've got the verb tango, tangere, to touch. The perfect is tetigi, I touched. And then you add SSE to that and you get tetigisse, and it means to have touched. And you could do the same with all of the other verbs. So you could do amare, to love, take the perfect tense, amavi, add SSE, you get amavisse, and that means to have loved. So in this case, he would prefer never to have touched his father's horses. So the object is equos paternos, accusative. Equos meaning horses, paternos being an adjective that means of his father. And then you've got yam again. Now, he, and the main verb here is piget, which means he regrets. Now in English you would say he regrets having done something, but in Latin you use an infinitive. So you say he regrets to have done something. And our first perfect infinitive of line 5 is cognosse. So he regrets to have found out. Or perhaps in more natural English, he regrets having found out his genus, his lineage, his parentage, you could say, his ancestry. That's the kind of idea. In other words, he regrets having found out that the sun god is his father. I'll just say something about this verb cognosse. This is another perfect infinitive, which you can recognize from the SSE at the end. It's from cognosco, cognoscere, meaning to find out. The perfect of that verb is cognovi. So therefore, the perfect infinitive is cognovisse, which Ovid has shortened to cognosse. Okay, so he regrets literally to have found out his parentage, his lineage, genus. One thing to remember about genus, by the way, is that it's different from genu. So in line 3 we had genua, right? Because a genu is a knee, as in K-N-E-E, the part of your leg, whereas a genus is a family or an ancestry or something like that. So he regrets having found out his lineage and having valuisse. So that's another perfect infinitive. Literally, this phrase means he regrets to have been strong with asking. Okay? Now, so valeo is a word that means I am strong. It's connected to the adjective validus, meaning strong. So So therefore, valuisse means to have been strong. Now, rogando is a form called a gerund. And a gerund is a verbal noun. It's a part of a verb that's being used as a noun. So in English, if you say, I like swimming, then the word swimming there is a gerund, because it's a verb to swim, but it's being used in the place of a noun. So in the same way that you could say, I like cheese, or I like pizza, or I like ice cream, you could say, I like swimming. Similarly, people sometimes say, you should learn by doing. And again, the phrase by doing is a gerund, right? Because it's taking the place of a noun. So here, literally you have, because it's ablative, the literal meaning is, he regrets to have been strong with his asking, with his request, in other words. So a better English translation would be something like, he regrets having succeeded in his request, having got what he asked for, having gotten his wish, anything like that. And then you have this question here, quid faciat. Now, quid means what? Faciat is third person singular, from facio facere, but it's present subjunctive. So it means what should he do? If it was indicative, it would be quid facit, and that would mean what is he doing? But the subjunctive gives it that sense of deliberation. So it's not asking about a fact. It's not saying what is he doing. It's asking about a sort of possibility, right? What should he do? What would be the best thing for him to do? So quid faciat, what should he do? And then you have multum caeli is the subject here. So multum, multus is an adjective meaning much. So here, and caeli is the genitive singular of caelum, meaning the sky. So the phrase multum caeli means much of the sky. And then you've got to sort of imagine the word est after relictum. So relictum est, perfect passive of relinquo, relinquere, to leave behind. So much of the sky has been left behind, relictum, post terga. Now post means afterward, after something, if it's to do with time, or if it's to do with space, post means behind. And that's what it means here, because it's going with terga. So, and terga means his back. So much of the sky has been left behind his back. Now tergum is your back, but in poetry it's sometimes plural, so terga. Much of the sky has been left behind his back. And then there's a sort of contrast, so you could say but, even though there's no word for but in the Latin, there's no sed, but more, plus, is, that's est, before his eyes, ante oculos. So ante, again, if it's a time phrase, it means before, but if it's a space phrase, then it means in front of. But again, you could say before here as well, before his eyes. So the point is, he's already gone a long way. A lot of the sky is already behind his back. He's already gone far. So therefore, he can't really turn back. The problem is, there's even more sky in front of him. So he can't just say, oh, I'll just wait a couple more minutes and then I'll reach land again. The problem is he's completely stuck. There's no land in sight. That's the point. And then Ovid says, animo metitur utrumque. Now, metior is a deponent verb meaning to measure or calculate. And here it's third person singular, present tense. So he calculates or measures utrumque, which means both possibilities, with his mind, animo. So animo is the ablative of animus, meaning his mind. In other words, he's calculating both distances. The distance if he's going to travel backwards and the distance if he's going to travel forwards. And he realizes both of them are just too long, too far. He's not going to make it. So he calculates both in his mind. And modo. So modo in this context, I think, means sometimes. So sometimes, and then the main verb is prospicit, which means he looks out. He looks out at the Occasus, which is the west. So sometimes he looks out at the west. Quos, meaning which. It is not fate, non est fatum, which it is not fate for him, illi, dative case, to reach. Contingere. So sometimes he looks out at the west, which it is not fate for him to reach. And interdum, sometimes, he respicit, he looks back. So prospicit, he looks forward. Respicit, he looks back at the ortus, which is the east. And que ignarus, ignorant of quid agat, so not knowing what he should do. So ignarus means ignorant or not knowing. Quid means what, and agat means he should do. And agat here is subjunctive, present subjunctive. The indicative would be agit, but this is subjunctive agat because we're in an indirect question. Right? The direct question would be, what should he do? The indirect question is, he does not know what he should do. So, ignorant of what he should do, and the main verb is stupet, he is amazed, he's dazed, he's astonished, and nec frena remittit. So nec means neither, so he neither remittit, remittere is to let something go, and frena are reins, R-E-I-N-S, like the reins that you use to control horses. So he neither lets go of the reins. Nec valet. Now valet here really means the same as possit. In other words, he's not able to retinere, to hold on to them, to hold them back. So he doesn't let them go, but nor is he able to hold them back. Valet, as I said about line 5, valeo means to be strong. And sometimes with an infinitive, it means to be strong enough to do something. So nor is he strong enough to hold them back, nor, nec, does he know, novit, nor does he know the names, so nomina, accusative plural from nomen, nor does he know the names of the horses, so equorum, genitive plural of equus. And I think Ovid puts that detail in just to remind us how inexperienced Phaethon is. Right, Phaethon, he's so new at this, he doesn't even know what the horses are called, so he really has no chance of controlling them.